Reads Hosteling International USA, Isabel Monroe Smith Award, and then has our mission to help all, especially gain a greater understanding of the world and its people through hosteling. Bob, Sylvia, Boston, Massachusetts. Bob, congratulations.
And if you'll tolerate this, just as Ruth and Bill Nelson and everyone else who has received this award, it's tradition to put this medal around the recipient's neck. Congratulations. This is totally unexpected, unrehearsed, but Nick is familiar with Bob. Nick is, of course, a descendant of Isabel Monroe Smith. Would you want to say that?
When I first met Bob, I had come out to the Boston Hostel. It was one of the first hostels I really ever visited and got to stay in. And I didn't know a lot about hosteling at the time. I had done some stuff with David Coulter, but I hadn't really appreciated the hostel workings itself. When we came out to the Chicago hostel years ago for that anniversary special that I can't even remember the event, I was too young to appreciate it. And so it was the Boston Hostel and meeting Bob that really got me excited about what the work was that was still going on. And it was two funny things happened that day. One, it was Bob who really pushed me to explore not just the Boston Hostel, but start to go back and look at the hosteling network that we currently had and come out and visit the DC Hostel and the New York Hostel. I think it was because of you that I started trying to make it a personal thing to see all the hostels. And I've only seen 13 or 14 now, but it was because of you that really began. Stayed in 13 or 14. I've seen another 6, 7, or 8 past that. And I really appreciated you doing that, because that re-sparked my interest, and it's meant a lot. In the last couple of years, I've moved away because I've been back in school and stuff, but it was this event. I've spent the last 8 months in Shanghai, and I'm home for 5 days in Colorado with my family before I go out to another 2 months in Dubai. But when I heard this event was going on, I told my mom, I'm going to fly out to Boston for a day. And she said, you have 5 days home with us. I said, it's Bob's retirement party. Okay. If Bob's retiring, you got to go. Because it's not just me, but you've meant a lot to all of our family. The second one is more of a funny story. During our conversation, Bob ran me around the old Boston Hostel, showing me all the amazing things that had been accomplished with that hostel over the years. And one of the things I particularly appreciated coming from Boulder, Colorado, and my background was all the green and energy efficient pieces that have been put in to that hostel. And we had a long conversation about how the trends and where things were going, and I was incredibly impressed with what he had done and everybody had done at the Boston Hostel. But at the same time, what was quite funny was then at the 75th, I came out for the 75th anniversary and decided to come out, visit with Bob first, and ride up with him to the 75th. And he pulled around the front with his H2. And I said, Bob, I'm a little confused. He said, hey, I gotta average it out. This is my personal vehicle, you know. I do this stuff with the hostel, but I gotta have some, I don't know if we said some fun too or whatever it was. And I could not stop laughing as I jumped into that thing. So actually I brought you out, I think I have it on me. I thought it was in my bag, but I brought you out something from China. It's small and silly, but it was reminding me of that experience. These are cufflinks of the gear shift of an H2. So thank you, and thank you again, Bob, for everything.
I must say I'm a bit overwhelmed by the latest award. Tough to get my head around that quite at this point. It does occur to me that if I had many, many hours, how entertaining I could be telling stories about each of the people that had stood up there telling the story, but probably that should wait a while. I do remember, however, that Deborah was not quite as impressed as Nancy was, because it cost over $200 to have 2 cases of Dr. Pepper shipped from Texas. And my reply was, "Do you have a problem with the test, with the scores on our inspections?" I said, "No." End of story. It's been a very dramatic change in my life. I came out of the hotel business. Frankly, much of what is done more today than ever, but even back then I worked with Mark Dessner, so he was kind of the original program guy. And I said, fine. I remember I made a terrible mistake one time saying, "That's marketing. You're telling people you're adding value to the program." It's not marketing. Okay, marketing is not a foul thing. You're allowed to do that. It's a basic principle of business. You tell people what you do. It's not a bad thing. So it's taken a long time. There have been dramatic changes. Certainly this building is different from anything that we could have anticipated back then. So happy for these folks. They're the ones that do all the work. There's a number of people who are not here today, who have been former assistants of mine, who deserve a great deal of the credit. Anyone who's worked with me or even attended a general manager's meeting may have heard me say at one point or the other that I guarantee you that I do less physical work than any manager in any organization anywhere. I believe my great skill is delegating responsibility to everyone else, and it makes my life work a lot smoother. So it's been a great joy. I want to thank, certainly I know I'll forget someone, but certainly all the people that came up here from Washington today, certainly the managers, my colleagues who manage the hostel, our board members, Dan Rubin in the back, the person who's led the greening of Boston hotels and a hostel among them. So he's been a strong leader within the city of Boston for that. Obviously the people who have done, who continue to do every single day the work that we do and we're so proud of. There's a few people back there. Certainly John Yantz, who was handed the not very enviable position of replacing Deborah. Amongst other things, replacing Deborah would have been one thing, replacing Deborah across from me was a totally different situation. He suddenly inherited a bit more than he thought he was getting. And then, of course, while I left, and my assistant left, and our housekeeper moved up the chain, and Sandra took over, John ran this show day to day, obviously with her help. Which is certainly not the responsibility of the regional director or whatever the title was at that point in time. So that was certainly very, very valuable. Miss Smith, there she is, who did a fantastic job getting us off the ground here. A lot of people see things and they don't know the amount of work that goes into producing a small piece of paper that says something about us and what it's like to have the pictures taken. Had the model robbed during the picture taking. There's such wonderful experiences there. But she did a great job at getting us ready to go, and You know, those are the type of things that take so much time. If an operations person has to step out of the operation to do that, then you really need someone devoted to that type of production of information so the public can get it, whether it's the website or all the other stuff that she produced. So it was great that we had her for as long as we did, and because of what she did, it allowed Rick to step into her position and continue with the sales and continue with some of the marketing plans. So it really, the one thing I would say is almost every person we've ever hired until this new hospital came along was hired for